We talked about it a little bit on PKN, but it's worthy of the big show to say that Sean Strickland winning the middleweight title of the UFC has been one of the best parts of this year for me, and it's been a good year. All right, it's a big deal.
Good year.
I'm so happy for him. When I go to bed at night, I literally have a little thought for Sean Strickland. I'm like, man, I hope Sean's getting some extra pussy tonight because he's a middleweight champion. I hope he's boning that hot ass girlfriend that I saw. His girlfriend was ringside, and when they're announcing who won the fight, we don't know yet, but we know, right? But you never know. Judges might have fucked our man over.
Even I knew he won.
And his girl is like this. She's like, Sean Strickland. Say Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland. And when they say his name, she's like, fuck yeah. She's like, she is so happy for
his
him.
number one fan. That's cool.
It's great. So good.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of that guy.
He did.
As a novice, I went into it with all my friends sitting there who knew more about UFC than me. I was watching it with some friends, and they were like, "Oh my god, there's basically no chance Strickland wins this." To give me an idea of the odds, and then if you would have not told me that beforehand, and I hadn't seen that ridiculous betting line, and I had just watched starting the beginning of the fight, I would have been like, "What the hell is Adesanya doing in the ring? Is he sick? Is he hurt? Did he forget how to punch?" Because the amount of dodged, stopped punches with Strickland, shoulders hunched forward, just kind of batting it away like this, was, you could see in real time how frustrated Israel was getting, because clearly that's not how it goes for him.
He does the Philly roll. You're familiar with that?
No.
Shell?
What does that mean?
The Philly shell. Yeah. So most fighters fight basically with their hands like this. I'm not a very good fighter. I always felt blinded by that. But anyway, they fight like this, and then it's really hard to hit him. He puts his shoulder up like that and fights sort of sideways. And this protects one side of his chin. He's got one hand to protect the other. Floyd Mayweather does the same thing. And when you hit him, he kind of rolls. And it's really hard to get an effective shot on a guy who defends his chin with his shoulder like that. And maybe it's the new meta. I don't know.
It seems to me that Sean won because Israel's a counter striker, and he couldn't get his jab off. And those things didn't work because Sean just sat down on his punches. He didn't care what was coming back at him. He was going to deal with it. He was going to eat it. He was going to deflect it. One or the other was going to happen. But he's going to stay right here in the pocket. And he's going to send another one, another 1-2, another 1-2, 1-1-1-2, 1-1-1-2. Oh, you didn't stop any of those. And that's how it just kept going as he stepped him down. And Israel, he looked a little out of balance almost, because he was usually, Sean has this really awkward style. You see, I heard someone call them kung fu blocks. I guess that's when you literally, in the movies, sort of deflect like that. And when
I trained kung fu. That's how they do it. It's bullshit, I thought, but
the guy described it. He's like, everybody's confused. He's like, I've sparred in that gym for years. That's how everyone looks against Sean the first time. He creates so much traffic. He used that word, and that was effective. That got through to me. He creates so much traffic with his blocks and his continuous punches that it's confusing. And it's hard to get your own punches in because they're getting blocked by punches and blocks that never seem to stop. It was really fun to watch. I hate that Israel Adesanya guy. He's super cringy. I don't know if he fucks his dog or not, but that's word around town. You want to do your own research on that one. I haven't dug deep yet, but I'm not kidding. Everybody says he fucks his dog. I'm pretty sure he does.
Well, if everyone
Adesanya?
says it.
Yeah. And he said some real weird things about the dog too.
I mean, mutual masturbation, is that sex or not?
No, I think he's boning.
What is he doing with his dog? What?
He's fucking it. He's having sexual relations with a canine animal. I'm not making a joke. I'm 100% serious. I'm 80% sure that he fucks that dog.
I'm 100% serious. I'm 80% sure.
I'm not just
30% sure he's making up these numbers.
I'm HIV positive that guy has been doing stuff to that fucking dog. All right. I saw him on maybe it was Sway in the morning or whatever. They were like, what about, not having sex before a fight? He's like, bullshit. I'm the champ out of the ring and in the bedroom. I laid it down last night. Shout out to the puppy. And Sway goes, puppy? What the fuck? And then the clip ends. I'm like, what happened next? But I've seen again, I haven't dug deep.
Just head kicks the girl he's fucking.
I think he's having sex with his dog. Probably, but maybe not. Never know. I really just I love the commercial he did where he's like, my skin may be black, but my heart is Chinese. I am the Black Dragon. And the whole time there's like a Chinese flag waving behind him. He's like, it's a commercial. So it's all black. It's like he's doing this standing on the roof of a starship in outer space itself. And the Chinese flags waving all patriotic. It's a whole video he did. I don't know what he's promoting. China? You know, they paid him to say he loves China. But
it's like
Sean Strickland's point is China. He wouldn't stand there with the Chinese flag and say he's not white, he's Chinese. Although some of the funniest versions of Sean Strickland videos are the Sean Strickland videos. Have you seen those?
I have not.
I guess he got called out for being racist, but like there's several black UFC fighters in his gym, so they all put a do-rag on him and get some Hennessy and some blunts, and they're all like huddled up, the three of them, and like, yo, this is our boy, this is our N-word. Deshaun Strickland, ain't that right? And he's like, yo, or something cringy like that. And they just have a good time with it. And it's like, this guy is the middleweight fucking champion of the world. It's so
he's just
good.
making saying something videos that cracks me up. He keeps saying, like, Dana must be asking himself, why did I let this motherfucker get a title shot?
He said retard. Even in that moment, he's like, man, you're not supposed to say that.
He really said that. He goes, why did you let
it was an interesting card because it was really shocking. You don't hear the word "it" too much anymore used with anger, but twice in the fights, fighters who had either won or lost, didn't really matter which, yelled into the microphone. One of them was accusing another guy's like team of being. He's like, you guys Angolan. Yeah, and then another guy was yelling at the crowd. The crowd was booing him, even though he'd given his all and fought a good fight. He's like, you gonna boo me? Fuck you. Come down here in the ring and say something. Fuck all of you. And then DC was like, give me the microphone. All right. No more of that. And then they were like, Sean Strickland heard those F-bombs from the backstage. He got inspired. And we got mythical Sean Strickland. Like, that's what happened. He came out a different him when he heard.
He soaks up slurs. My body is a machine that turns slurs into knockouts.
Superman is powered by our yellow sun. Sean Strickland is powered by power. Okay, just full on racism that charges him up.
Seemingly any slur.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Multifaceted.
It's fair.
Anyway,
racist, sexist. Who knows what else?
I was so thrilled for him, and it just seemed like a good guy. I remember we were talking about it like a few weeks ago. I was like, Sean Strickland could be next. And we're like, nah, probably not though, right? Because this and that and the other. And it just
he only won 2 out of his last 4 fights going into this title fight.
I don't think that's accurate, Woody. I think he won I think he was like 10-2, and one of the losses was to Pereira. And that looked real good. But in any case, it's like, who else was going to fight, right? Izzy had cleaned out the division and he'd beaten some of them twice.
Dude, it was
Duplessis is the answer, but Duplessis.
No, I'm right. He had won his last 2, and he had lost the 2 before that. Alex Pereira and Jared Cannonier.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, that's fair. But in his last,
now he's on a 3-fight win streak because he beat Adesanya. But yeah.
Yeah, he lost 2 in a row.
Right, and then won 2 in a row and got a shot. But that usually it takes more than 2 wins in a row to get a title shot. But I think 1, his charisma helps, as it does. It's prize fighting. And 2, Israel cleaned out the division. There weren't too many other people to fight.
He's the next guy. Duplessis is the next guy, and he's in a feud with Chael Sonnen right now because and Chael Sonnen went ahead and just called him a pussy today on his show because he called Chael a liar or something like that. Again, it's a little bit of a tiff, and he's like, "Here's what happened before you call me stupid again. You had the fight. It was announced you had the fight. Then Israel stepped in the ring, and he said what he said to you. You went in the back, spoke to a doctor, and he asked you, anything wrong? You said no. 5 minutes later, you're on the stage. Your foot's hurt. You can't fight Israel. He said something that, use whatever you want. Scared you. he's basically saying that he was because Israel got in the ring and went full race bait mode because the other guy is a South African white man, and Israel is supposed to be a Nigerian, but there's the whole Chinese thing, and he lives in New Zealand and trains in America, and it's like, you're not a real African, is Duplessis' point of view. And Israel gets in there and starts calling the N-word to his face, screaming it. What you gonna do, my N-word, N-word, like screaming N-word in his face. And he didn't want to fight him after that. And he's the guy who's supposed to be fighting him. And it's a big deal.
Need more of that in fighting. More brutal.
N-word?
Well, I'm sure. More screaming at each other.
Oh, there's tons of that.
In sincere anger. Like that's good.
It gets real sometimes.
up.
Here's a real ass moment that you may not have caught. So after the fight, they announced the winner. Sean's borderline crying, which is big for him because he's a real man, right? And Israel comes over and starts begging, like, I would never bring your family into this. Please don't go after my family. Don't say anything about my family. Please, begging, beg, like Donald Trump would say, beg. Could have told him to get on his knees, beg. He'd have done it. He'd have dropped to his knees. That's what Sean should have done, because Israel's last fight, he made a whole point of mocking that guy's kid when he KO'd his dad. Remember that?
Yes. Oh, I loved it.
Fuck
though.
you. You won't bring people's kids and families into shit. You did. You mocked the guys falling down and to the kid, like you pointed him out.
Wait, there's a little. You're leaving out part of the story.
A little.
The guy's dad. This is who's the big guy? Pereira. Pereira. His kid mocked Adesanya when Adesanya got knocked out. So when he knocked his dad out, he mocked his kid back. And I'm a big enough asshole that I gave that 2 thumbs up.
I was okay with it too, frankly. But call a spade, I guess. Yeah, the fight game's always fun. I love the UFC. And the next, I think this weekend's free. I think it's a Holly Holm. No, not Holly Holm. It's Valentina Shevchenko is fighting to get her belt back, hopefully, because she lost in a real stupid decision to this. I think her name's Grasso, and I would bet the house on Shevchenko.
You know what I liked in that event? I mentioned on PKN. Check out PKN on the Patreon. That Russian guy with the whatever the hell choke, but also there was like a fat Maori guy who was like 6 feet tall who was fighting a like 6'6" guy earlier in the fight, and he punched him so the smaller, shorter guy who like clearly is just stocky and powerful. Punched him so hard it was like a crash test dummy video where like his skin was 4 inches to the side, knocked him out. But what really stuck out to me is there were 2 Maori fighters that both had a little bit of a weight problem.
Yep.
And both of them had that like Maori love handle blackout tattoo.
Yep.
And it's like, this is just drawing so much more attention to your love handles. Like you'd think it would be a little silhouette thing. It doesn't. And so I don't know what their idea is.
Right. A brilliant idea. I should have a V tattooed onto my skin to give the illusion that I have a nice V shape.
See, that's what these guys thought. And no, it looks bad. It's just like, look at that guy's love handles. I can't look anywhere but his love handle.
I'm going to roll the dice. Maybe it'll look good on me.
Yeah, it'll look good on me.
The over-representation of Maoris in professional fighting is really interesting. Because there ain't that many of them.
Is this a country?
Can't be that. The Maoris, like, as far as I know, are like Pacific, right? New Zealand's like Pacific Islander peoples. Those
okay,
and they're always in a. I think there's a big thing where the Maoris want their own little flag, or it doesn't matter. But there's brown people from New Zealand, like Mark Hunt.
I have a theory about this. So in track and field, the fastest people win. Boom. There's no question about it. And it's not like there's tons of people who are faster, just sort of waiting in the wings. But I don't think in the UFC it's that clear cut. I don't think the best fighters in the world are all in the UFC. I bet there's some people in K1. There's some people in boxing. There's some people who are in wrestling who maybe could compete in the UFC level with a small amount of training, but they don't. Because maybe the money's not there, the risk's not there, or is there something. But there are these people who will fight for pennies and keep suppressing the wages from. Tell me where Khabib is from. I can't remember.
Dagestan.
Right, dude. Dagestan, like the entire fucking male population could compete in the UFC and will do it for $6,000 a fight. Yeah. And I think that's why we have like tons of Dagestanis in there. Why there's a bunch of Maoris coming in there and not necessarily Americans.
So, with the Dagestanis, again, that Kurdigov guy or like whatever, I always butcher his name. That fucking terrorist that funds Khabib.
You're not narrowing it down.
Exactly. The main terrorist warlord who funds Khabib. It's a system that he put together over there. They've got a farming system, and Khabib runs that shit. I've heard Daniel Cormier, because he took his boys over there and trained with them, talk about like you got to have your hair cut the right way. You don't ever show up late. Like it's more like a religious thing. And it is. There's a big religious aspect to how they train and how their gym culture, their gym culture is just so different. It's a very familial. It's almost like a Spartan kind of thing. Like you see, those guys are real lovey-dovey around each other. Like they're all shirtless and like, I don't know.
I like that they
hugging.
stood up to the Stockton gang with zero fear. Like Nate Diaz rolls with a really tough crew, right?
Well, sure. Yeah, they're not afraid of anybody.
But the Dagestanis were like, you think this is tough? No, we are what tough is. And they didn't have any fear. I loved it.
There's the one guy that's got, I wish I knew his name. He's clearly missing one of his fucking eyes, but nobody's calling him on it. He fights like it's like whited out like a James Bond villain. He's
Really?
and I don't know if he's
That's
specifically
scary.
from Dagestan, but he's got the same look as they all do with the beard and
The
everything.
Amish beard, yeah.
And I was on Reddit, they were like, why has no one called out the fact he's clearly fighting with one eye? And he looks like a James Bond villain. It's terrifying. Yeah, those
They
guys
allow you to fight with one eye.
he's not fighting in the UFC yet, I don't think. But I saw him in some other fight
They won't let you play in the NHL with one eye. They let you fight?
Yeah, of course not. They shouldn't.
Michael
Michael Bisping is famous for fighting with did you find him? That's the scary moment. Yeah. He is in the UFC.
Find him first?
Or maybe he's holding somebody's belt. Obviously, because he's not.
Yeah, we would know him if he was changed.
But if you could this doesn't really show just how opaque and useless that eye definitely is.
Yeah, there's no way that eye left on screen, his right eye, is working.
That guy is a top tier kind of guy, apparently. Like, I don't know. All the clips I've seen of him is just him mauling people. And you never know what you're looking at, right? He could be, oh my goodness.
Oh my God. It looks like the bad eye is the good one. Right? Unless he's
looking
talking to someone to the side.
Yeah, it's because he's looking to his left, and so it's evening out that the wonkier one to look straight, but it's still not. It's not on.
Why is the straight one looking at? Okay, so he's probably not looking at the camera.
Because it's like if the bad one's always like listing over to his right, and then he looks to the left, I bet it pulls it over a bit, right? Because it's still being acted on by your eye muscles or some shit, probably. I don't know how it works.
That guy looks scary as hell. I also saw, and we will get off UFC after this, I promise. But it was an interview with Pereira.
Does it really look like this? Zach, can you pull up this picture?
Pereira was talking about when he fought Sean Strickland, and he did win that fight. He caught Sean, knocked him out. But he was like, the way he looked at me, no one had ever looked at me like that before. I was afraid. I was afraid of Sean Strickland. I love that he admitted that. Yeah, this is the picture I always see. Yeah.
Those nipples are just screaming steroid. I feel like I could suck on his nipples and get my TRT.
Some county fair nipples. Those are.
Fucking give me some mustard out of that one and some mayo out of this one.
That's not a real picture. That doesn't look real. He's too jacked. He's too symmetrical in all ways except for one.
They cranked up the fucking
contrast and sharpness.
The saturation way up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You would test positive for roids if you sucked on it.
There's no lighting that could make me look like that. So good for him.
Yeah, right. I hear you.
No reality.
Oh, did you get? Dude, Sugar Sean O'Malley has an interesting take. Are you familiar with his like open marriage?
No, I don't know anything other than he was the other unexpected champ.
All right, let me read this to you because it's pretty fun. Welcome to the Sugar Show, where UFC champion Sean O'Malley says he can do whatever, whenever, and with whomever he pleases. Here's his quote. I'm a king. I pay for everything. I treat Danya, that's his wife, like a queen. If I get a little pussy on the side, what does that have to do with anything? I have testosterone running through my veins. It's simple. If I wasn't paying for everything, if I wasn't, successful in any sort of way, and I was an average Joe, I probably wouldn't. It probably wouldn't be fair. But I'm fucking King Kong, baby.
This is a 150-pound white dude.
This guy oozes confidence.
Andrew Tate explains it well. It's status. I got status, so I can.
Ooh, bad reference.
Yeah, right. And
is he still popping out there?
He's out.
I'm a crazy motherfucker. I put myself on a leash and I have to live a very disciplined lifestyle. I could for sure go out, do some bumps and go off the rails, even if I didn't have discipline. Oh, dude, I'd be crazy. I'd be Conor McGregor for sure. I'd be hitting the booger sugar on my yacht and blow all my money, but I live a disciplined life. And if I want to get a little bit of pussy sometimes, what the fuck? It makes me a better man. And that's the end of his quotes.
That's hilarious. Like on the left, he looked so little like a champion UFC fighter.
So
like he looks like he just got the first gig for his not very successful band.
Right.
Like,
he's an aspiring DJ.
Yeah.
He hits so hard. He hits and he is so fast. It's very fun to watch. I saw a clip the other day and it was a mountain climber in the gym with two huge bodybuilders, and he was using their weight to do this exercise where you're like, it's a thing that there's a support on your chest.
It was
you're grabbing two handles.
Just supported T-bar row.
Okay. And exactly. And he was doing the same weight and like reps as them with his little ass, like Sean
as Juju move
150, he's 160 pounds, I think, something like that. Crazy strength. You could see the muscles in his back not only flexing and going through great full range of motion, but turning red. You could see the blood flowing to those muscles because they turned red in this big patch that is his like back musculature. It was cool to see him do that weight.
His insertions. His lats go to like his love handles, like they're all the way down.
Yeah, there's not a lot of fat on that physique. He's I guess every pound you weigh is another. You got to haul up that goddamn mountain.